I saw this video and a thought came to my head.
What do you mean we're lucky to be white?
It's not luck, it's privilege.
We're privileged that people see us, not a color.
Privilege that we don't get stared at when we walk into the room.
Privilege that we don't get followed by security when we go shopping.
Or pulled over when we're in the wrong neighborhood.
We're privileged because society was set up for us, and our silence keeps it in place.
We're privileged, and that's unfair.
At what point are we going to acknowledge that some of these white allies do their damnedest to make black people look stupid? I see almost every day somebody on TikTok or on Twitter making a statement or a video or an article, essay, web documentary, porn addiction about something involving how they're anti-white and how they'll say, I am against the patriarchy, I am against the privilege, I am against the supremacy, and I hate white people all across the world. We need a society where white people no longer exist, yada yada yada, not acknowledging the fact that they are a pasty bastard themselves. And if you're going to advocate for white minorities or the abolishment of white people or the overall concept of black people need to be higher than white people, I'm dreaming of a mayonnaise minority. And you have to acknowledge that you have to get the fuck out of the way. But the thing I get more curious about is how black people allow these white allies to get on camera and say things that demean black people. Do you mean to tell me that I, as a well-fancied individual, I got my Christmas PJs on, it's Christmas time, are you telling me that if I were in school, elementary, middle, or high, or even college, I can't get on the honor roll? I can't be in an honors program. I can't be on the dean's list because of all these mystical white people who are seemingly only getting on these awards because they're white?
I mean, I can say it more directly. You weren't gifted, talented, or smart. You were just most likely, statistically speaking, an upper middle class white kid. And so your school district rewarded you by giving you the title of gifted, and then they use that as an excuse to pull resources from your black and indigenous, low-income, disabled, neurodivergent peers and gave them to you. You benefited from the system of white supremacy and classism because you could uphold it as, more likely than not, an upper middle class or middle class white kid. You were the reason and the excuse for withholding resources from marginalized students, and you were complicit in accepting them. And I know you were a child, and I know you probably didn't have a lot to say, and you also didn't have a lot of perspective. But as an adult, if you're still holding on to this idea that you were a gifted kid once, when all that meant is that you could thrive under classism and white supremacy, unpack that.
Not because they're smarter than me, not because I didn't actually study and I kind of just whiffed it along the way in college and in high school and really should have flunked out at various points. Are you telling me that I deserve that, or that someone else has to give up their privilege because I'm a little bit dumber than them? Let's go a little bit deeper. Are you meaning to tell me that I can't get a job dressed in my pajamas trying to work at Cox Cable, trying to work at Chase Bank, trying to work at some big corporation because I'm dressed like a well-fancied bum? You mean to tell me I have to put on a suit to conform to some white nationalist society that's been birthed by Europeans and how to dress properly?
When we look at dress codes and this idea of what is professional, we have to look at kind of who's making those rules and where they're coming from. And a lot of those rules come from Eurocentric white areas. So what's the point of a dress code? The point of the dress code is conformity and to put forth a specific image. But what is that image and where does that image come from? And if we take it all the way back, typically this image of professional and dress codes all originates back to Britain and the United Kingdom and colonization. And this idea of conformity around you need to be successful like our country, and so therefore you must fit our expectations. And that has to do with a lot of white colonizing non-white communities of color and saying you are only successful if you dress like us. So when we put that to schools and jobs, we're saying you can only be successful when you dress like a white person.
Not that I want to carry myself and show a corporation that, hey, even if I'm a dressed casual, I'm still going to represent the company. I'm still going to show you that I care enough to brand myself in the image that is necessary for people to see your company and see me as a well-fancied employee instead of somebody walking in with nipple clamps on, blue hair, and a streak of tattoos running down to my dick. What is so hard about understanding the simplest things in regards to making a point? You are going to try to tell me that your best efforts in being an ally is to talk down upon black people. I don't know if you know this about black people, but we are a well-crafted group of individuals. Once we get rid of all that sympathy thinking and how we must always bend the knee to the white guy, we're actually some creative human beings. The problem is we wanted some people to educate themselves, but the problem with educating ourselves is that when you're not teaching people, they go and they find the dumbest things to say, and then they come back and say them to you, and they don't sound intellectual, they don't sound helpful, they sound like bitch slaps across the face. I could point the finger at numerous reasons and numerous individuals, but instead of doing that, I'm just gonna point it at black people, because you sit there and you see this, you see what these white allies are saying, and you allow it because they're saying the right buzzwords that make you happy. They get on their knees and they kiss your ass and they say, I hate white power, I hate white people, I hate the privilege, I'm gonna embarrass myself so that you could see that I'm worthy of being invited to the barbecue. But I've said it before and I'll say it again, white people, I don't know if you get this or not, but no matter what you do, if you're an ally, if you wear those BLM shirts, if you wear that shirt with the fist, if you hold your fist in the air, if you carry those signs, I just want you to know, because it came from a black woman, the most disrespected group of individuals on the face of the planet, it came from a black woman, that yeah, they're gonna up and leave, and they're gonna want you to still embarrass yourselves, because that's doing the work.
White people who are putting in the work to dismantle white supremacy. Listen. Do not be surprised when and if your black and indigenous friends pull away from you, even when you haven't done anything wrong. As a matter of fact, accept it and expect it. Every other day, a white ally or accomplice gets outed for their closeted and secret racism, and we are just tired. So there are going to be times and moments when we pull away from all white people because we don't need to be around any of you to save our sanity. And you just need to shut up and accept it. We're going to ghost you. We may or may not be back. Continue to do your work.
And what's weird to me is that even though there are these white allies who say all these dumb things and demean black people to try to boost their courage or do something other than just being a regular human being, you have these people of color, these black people, who also say stupid things, not for equality, not for even superiority. Some of it just sounds fucking dumb.
So earlier this week, I made a post saying that it doesn't sit right with me that there are white people who own property, multiple properties at that, in the United States of America, while black and indigenous people are experiencing homelessness. And I want to expand on that, especially for my new followers who are white, who followed me because of my anti-racist content. I'm glad that you're listening to me, but I really want to make sure that you're hearing what I'm saying. There will never be black liberation or indigenous sovereignty as long as the United States of America exists. If you want black folks around the globe and in this country liberated, if you want indigenous folks to be able to have sovereignty over the lands that they're indigenous to, then the United States of America needs to cease to exist. And I don't know if y'all are ready for that. I don't know if that's what y'all signed up for. I'm not sure if anti-racist work is just something you do to lessen the inconvenience of racism in your life, but I hope you're ready for this. It's not for the weak.
This is really far from a fully articulated thought, but it's interesting to me that like everyone's favorite guys right now, which I would say is this guy and Jack Harlow, are like white guys who are comfortable in black environments. Do you know what I'm saying? This is not a fully articulated thought, but there's something about that. And like, especially in the case of Jack Harlow, like not just comfortable, but almost seeming to prefer it.
You sound unbelievably fucked. The old saying is, if you want something done right, you must do it yourself. And I don't know why we got so comfortable hoping that all these white people educate themselves and the next generation understands that they have privilege and they must bow down and give us the equality we want and they must talk bad about themselves, because that's never going to work, because constantly demonizing a group of people will not get them to help you, and convincing 3% of them that yes, my whiteness is the reason everyone's life that isn't white sucks. Oh my goodness, because I'm white, I am suffering from a lot of privilege that other people cannot attain. Oh my God, all of you white people, my parents, my dead grandmother, my uncle, all my friends, you have privilege and I must talk down upon you while also talking down upon black people, because these black people can't do anything because of my pasty white skin. It's not gonna get anywhere. You're just gonna have a bunch of people trying to guilt trip others into thinking that their life is bad because of their skin color. You're not doing anything of equality there. You're just making people feel less about themselves. And I don't know if that's the goal or not. Maybe it is, because of course you have this subsection of people who are black that are supporting the of white people and think that that's an okay thing. But maybe I'm just a guy who doesn't know anything about being black. I've been told by some white individuals that I know less about being black compared to them, and I think that's quite funny, because hello, the most pathetic group on the face of the planet are white allies, because they don't do anything of substance. They don't do anything of importance. They just complain about something they don't even have, because they're spending their time sitting in their rooms on their phones crying about something and demeaning others based on their skin. What could you accomplish from that? What could you gain from doing something like that? You're not going to get more people to say Black Lives Matter. You're not going to get more people to actually want to favor black people more. You're just going to have more people hating you, along with the black people who sit there and say, we want the of all white people. That's not okay. That's not fun. And to all you white allies, shut up and listen to a black man speaking. You were told to do that all for the past 2 years. Shut up and do it now when I'm telling you that you're stupid. Okay? We clear? We good? And just for anybody who's going to sit there and say, oh my God, what a grifter, what a Republican, what a conservative, and all these talking points that you got because you can't craft a real point. I got one name for you, since you care about black people, since you want to be a white ally, since you want to be a hero and you want to save black people in your mystical movie generic mind. Sasha Johnson. I don't see any of y'all saying her name, and I wonder why. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.